What makes a game truly terrifying? Today, we explore three types of horror: the disturbing psychological trap, the loud classic jump-scare chaos, and the innocent mascot that turns into a digital nightmare. Most horror games rely on a predictable formula: a flickering flashlight, a dark hallway, and a monster that screams in your face when you least expect it. But the Coffin of Andy and Lele operates on a completely different level of dread. It's a psychological horror that doesn't just want to scare you. It wants to make you feel complicit in something terrible. At its core, this isn't a story about ghosts or killers. It's a brutal look into the darkest corners of human nature through the lens of two siblings, Andrew and Ashley. They are trapped in a codependent, toxic relationship that is honestly more uncomfortable to witness than any jump scare could ever be. Visually, the game adopts a classic RPG Maker aesthetic: cute, hand-drawn sprites, and a simple top-down perspective. However, this innocent look is a trap. The atmosphere is suffocatingly heavy, dealing with themes of extreme isolation, starvation, and a bond between brother and sister that has rotted into something dangerous. You aren't running from a slasher. You are controlling two people who are slowly realizing they might be the real villains of their own story. Act 1 starts in a grim apartment. Andrew and Ashley have been locked inside for months due to a mysterious quarantine. They are starving. The food is gone, the water is toxic, and their mental state is collapsing. Andrew has spiraled into a passive, deep depression, while Ashley has become a manipulative, unpredictable force of nature. To make matters worse, they have a neighbor who spends his days blasting loud music and trying to perform occult rituals to summon a demon. The turning point happens when a neighbor who was trying to summon a demon finally succeeds, but demon takes his soul and he dies. But here's where the game gets disturbing. Andrew and Ashley are beyond morality at this point. They are starving, and they see the dead neighbor not as a person, but as a source of food. This is the moment the game truly crosses the line, forcing the player to process the absolute desperation of these characters. However, their meal prep is interrupted by the reality of their situation. They forgot about the mandatory everyday inspection. When they hear the government inspector knocking on the neighbor's door, panic finally sets in. Ashley desperately tries to hide the body and then crams herself into a shelf to avoid being seen. But luck isn't on her side. The inspector notices something is wrong, and just as he opens the shelf Andrew steps in. In a rare moment of decisive action, Andrew saves his sister, and in the ensuing chaos, they realize that the door is open, and that means that they have a chance to escape. It's a hidden gem because it's not afraid to be hated, pushes boundaries that most games won't even touch. If you want a game that will stay in your head for days and make you feel genuinely uneasy, this is it. But be warned, once you enter the coffin with Andy and Lele, there's no coming out clean. Now, let's leave the psychological mind games behind and talk about pure, heart-stopping adrenaline. Our next game hits you like a freight train. Welcome to Nun Massacre, developed by Puppet Combo. This game doesn't care about deep storytelling, hidden meanings, or complex character arcs. Visually, it looks like a PlayStation 1 game wrapped in a dirty, distorted VHS tape filter, which makes everything look blurry, grainy, and incredibly unsettling, and which you thankfully can turn off. You play as a desperate parent who receives a strange letter saying their daughter is fatally ill at a remote boarding school on top of a hill. But when you finally arrive, the school is completely abandoned. The doors are locked behind you, and you quickly realize you are trapped inside a living nightmare. You are being hunted by a giant, bloodthirsty nun with a massive knife and a terrifyingly fast movement speed. The gameplay is simple but effective. You explore the pitch-black corridors, search for specific items to escape, and pray you don't turn the wrong corner. What makes Nun Massacre an absolute masterpiece of classic horror is how it uses its environment to build unbearable tension. The maze-like layout of the school forces you to constantly get lost, and the nun that hunts you is terrifying. Instead of a predictable script, the game relies on total chaos. Every single corner you turn could be your last.
And because your flashlight has limited battery life, you spend half the time moving in complete darkness.
Puppet Combo doesn't do subtle scares or clever plot twists. When the nun spots you, Her distorted face flashes on the screen, and she chases you with brutal speed. It turns a simple game of hide and seek into a stressful panic attack. You spend most of your time crouching in a rusty locker or hiding under a desk, terrified to look outside because you know that one tiny mistake means immediate and violent death. It's the ultimate definition of a classic horror that forces you to run for your life. But while a killer nun in a dark school is terrifying, there is something even worse. Kinetopet is the absolute cinema. It doesn't just pretend to be a cute, innocent game. It pretends to be a piece of nostalgic, helpful software from the early days of personal computers. When you boot it up, you are introduced to Kineto, a brightly colored, incredibly friendly pink axolotl-like guy who claims to be your new virtual best friend. He is designed to look like those classic desktop assistants from the late 90s and early 2000s, complete with cheesy animations and a childish web browser interface. At first, the game asks you to do simple, comforting things. You answer his questions, help his friends, and listen to stories. It feels like a cozy, slightly retro trip down memory lane, and Kineto seems like nothing more than an enthusiastic digital pet eager to please you. But the switch happens when Kineto starts testing your boundaries through simple questions. He asks for your name, your favorite color, and your favorite food. If you type them in, he actually remembers them and uses them against you later. The game starts to feel weird while you help one of his friends, and suddenly there is a picture. Slowly, the cheerful atmosphere begins to slip away. The background music cuts out, leaving you in uncomfortable silence, and Kineto looks like he doesn't see anything. But after you help his friends, you get a fun game as a prize. It's located in the treehouse, and turns out it's hide and seek. But then the screen goes dark, and Kineto says, "Don't get caught." After that, a game appears where we walk through rooms, and in one of them and the game crashes. He then asks questions to adapt to you, and then he asks who is your best friend, and although he makes it look like a question, there is only one answer. So let's do a time skip and get to the final part. Kineto says that he made some sort of a program, but it needs some time to load, and so we don't get distracted, he kills all our online Steam friends. And when he finishes, he introduces us to our world that he made personally for us. After some time, he makes a train, and then we ride to a new amusement park that has a lot of fun stuff. But when we get to the roller coaster and go into a pipe, we get into a place that Kineto made from our previous answers. And after we stand on the red X, our monitor turns off. When it turns on, there is a new home that he made for us, and in this house we got our Steam friends. On the walls, there are paintings that we made, and a locked room that, when we open it after finding a key, has a PC which has your favorite video game. On the shelves, there are other favorite games from Steam, and a fridge full of your favorite food. But in the backyard, there's a fountain, and when you get close to it, everything goes white, and the game name changes to a message.
ITS too late for you, but not for US. Try again. Fountain is the key.